Meeting on American soil between President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin ended with no agreement reached over how to end the war in Ukraine. The two met on the tarmac at the joint base Elmendorf-Richardson in Anchorage. The meeting, which involved both leaders as well as top diplomats, only lasted a few hours. It was followed by brief statements in which Putin did not seem to back away from his hard stance against Ukraine, which Russia invaded in.
Just a routine diplomatic engagement, but rather as a defining point in global politics, where the balance of influence can shift from one side to another. As Trump moved toward the red carpet, he appeared confident and energetic, waving to the gathered crowd and reporters who were eager to capture every second of the event. Security officials had set up tight measures. Trump arrived at the airport with a strong sense of purpose as he prepared to welcome Vladimir Putin, who had landed earlier today, for a meeting that was expected to draw attention from every major capital in the world. The moment carried weight because whenever Trump and Putin meet, it is never seen as gestures around the airport. Yet despite the restrictions, the energy in the atmosphere was intense. When Putin emerged from his aircraft, the two leaders locked eyes and walked toward each other with measured steps, as though both knew that this encounter was going to be discussed for weeks and months to come. The handshake that followed was firm and deliberate, lasting long enough to signal not only respect, but also an understanding that the decisions made during their discussions could alter ongoing conflicts and future alliances. Trump leaned slightly forward during their greeting, while Putin remained calm and controlled in his posture, which has often been described as the mark of his leadership style. Both leaders smiled in a way that seemed calculated, not exaggerated, showing to the watching audience that they intended to approach their dialogue with seriousness mixed with courtesy. The photographers captured image after image as the handshake concluded. And then the leaders walked side by side toward a waiting motorcade that would take them to the main venue of the meeting. During the short journey from the airport, Trump and Putin were seen talking inside the limousine with only their close interpreters present. Observers speculated about the subject of this private conversation, suggesting that the two men might already have been laying out their first points of negotiation. For Trump, the meeting offered an opportunity to project strength on the world stage, while for Putin it provided a chance to showcase that Russia remained a central power with a leader capable of standing shoulder to shoulder with the American president. Upon arriving at the meeting venue, which had been carefully prepared with the flags of both nations placed prominently at the entrance, Trump and Putin stepped out together and entered the hall where a select group of officials was waiting. The press was allowed a brief moment inside, where both leaders posed for photographs at a large round table before the session was closed to allow private dialogue. The atmosphere inside was said to be professional, with a blend of caution and hope, as the agenda contained sensitive issues that could not be resolved without frank discussion. One of the first topics expected to be raised was the ongoing war in Ukraine, which has drawn global concern and placed heavy strain on international relations. Trump has repeatedly expressed that his goal is to bring peace and to stop further bloodshed, while Putin has insisted that Russia has strategic interests that cannot be ignored. The challenge for both leaders was to find language that could lead to a framework of compromise without either appearing to surrender his position. This delicate balancing act was expected to dominate the hours of conversation. Another major issue was the economic relationship between the United States and Russia, which has been strained by sanctions and countermeasures. Business leaders around the world were watching closely because the outcome could either open doors to renewed trade or deepen the barriers that have restricted flows of goods and energy. Trump, who has long presented himself as a negotiator with an instinct for deals, seemed eager to explore possibilities that could ease tensions and perhaps lay the groundwork for practical cooperation. The meeting between Trump and Putin today, at once ceremonial and deeply strategic, showed how personal diplomacy, at the highest level, can shape the course of international relations. It underlined the fact that in a world filled with challenges from wars to economic uncertainty, the words and actions of two powerful leaders can open doors to peace or prolong divisions Observers will continue to debate the significance of today's events, but there is no doubt that when Trump welcomed Putin at the airport and then sat across from him at the table, the world was watching closely, hoping for progress and stability in uncertain times. As night fell, Trump returned to his residence for private consultations with his team while Putin prepared to depart after his visit. The day had been filled with symbolism, gestures, and intense discussion, and while the results might take time to fully emerge, it was clear that the encounter had left